Hello everyone, it's Andrew from Gem TCG, and today's video I'm going to be talking about the two different business models that you could strive for or try to do as a trading card seller. And it's kind of an interesting concept because I've never heard anyone else talk about this, but I've been thinking about it a lot and it kind of makes sense. So I want to share it with you all and see what you guys think and see what model fits best for your needs and what you would prefer to be at in terms of your goals and just what you're trying to achieve. And I'm just going to start off by saying the two, which are the first one is the more commonly known and talked about one, which is just quick flips, short term sales in terms of like you want to get it today, sell it within a week or a month at most. And then you might try to get a smaller profit margin because you need to get those quick flips. And your focus is more on volume because you just want to sell things as quick as possible. You don't want to hold on to inventory, or you just want to constantly cycle through cash and get slow builds over time. And then the other business model, or I guess method, or whatever you want to call it, is more of a long term thinking and equity building type of model. And I talked about this in the video from the other day about long term success and how to achieve it. And I shortly talked about building equity through your inventory and setting your prices at a amount that you're happy to sell it at, and you're not in a rush to get a sale, or you don't need to cut into your profit margins too much to get a sale. And this is what I do for quite a few reasons, and I'm going to talk about which lifestyles, or I guess time, you would need for both of those options and why it works best for me to do the long term equity building type of model. And the main reason is because this isn't my full time job. Selling trading cards is not my main source of income. I Even when I started, I was in college and then I graduated and now I'm a full time software engineer. So I don't have time to be, and I don't mean to hate on the other side, but I don't have time to be running around trying to chase quick flip, maybe go to the, and this is not the exact type of these people, but go to the store and try to get sealed product to quickly flip, or buy collections at 80% margin or 80% market to then flip it at 85% or 90% market just to get those quick sales and small profit margins. But if they do it enough times, it adds up. 10% profit on like 1,000 sales is pretty big. So there's no shame to it, and it's definitely a valid business model, but I never had the time to do that, and also just never cared to do it because it requires a lot more effort to do that, and I just wasn't willing to do it because I had a lot of other things going on that I'm trying to succeed at. So that's the main reason. The other reason is because when you're trying to build a, it's not necessarily a brand like a Nike or Adidas type of thing, but when you're trying to build a presence, I think that's the right word, the presence on eBay, you can't really do that by constantly flushing out your inventory, selling things at very small margins, and just trying to get those quick flips. Because what you'll realize is that your inventory will be sold out so quickly that it's going to be hard to maintain it unless you're putting in full time effort. You can't do it as a part time thing if you're doing that type of thing. So, by setting up my prices and my inventory in a way that, sure, I'm not the cheapest price on eBay, I'm not even close to the cheapest, but I have enough inventory to now, when people are searching for cards, the chance of them finding a card from me is very high because I have, I believe right now, 40,000 cards listed, and actually not even 40,000 cards, 40,000 listings. And there's like multiple quantities in each one. There's variation listings included in there. So there, I have a huge inventory, and a big part of that now is because of TCG Automate. I just list them. I mean, I've listed 30,000 cards in the last month, so that played a big role. But even before then, I was still doing the variation listings and listing a bunch of cards every week. Obviously, not to that scale, but still a more than average amount. And what this does is that when people constantly see your logo or your name, it builds subtle trust in you because they see this person has all these cards. Clearly, they are not just someone doing this for fun or trying to get a quick buck or two. And this will make them more comfortable buying from you, making larger purchases from you, and just overall looking at your store and more than likely buying cards. So that's a great benefit, and that's one of the reasons that I wasn't even aware of it when I first started, but I learned it over time that just having more inventory available, even if it's not the cheapest price, will still get you a sale because one, you might have a card that nobody else has listed available, or two, they just see that you have so much inventory, and if they want 20 different cards and you have all 20 of them, they would rather pay a premium buying it all from you than just buying it from 20 other sellers, buying one card from 20 other sellers. So those are two big reasons why it just works. And then another, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about for the slow sale model, which is that inventory most often goes up in price. And I know there are times in the market where something is not selling at all. And then a year later, it'll go up in price. And this is pretty common. It's not like things are just going to go up all the time. There's never going to be a slow period or even a down period. But if you can position yourself to have the inventory when it goes up in price, you do extremely well. For example, trainer gallery cards in the beginning of this year skyrocketed in price, and I had a bunch of inventory for those cards when it was super cheap, probably less than 50% of what it's worth today. And then I sold out. I didn't sell out because I had so much, but I sold probably 1,500 cards from that one variation listing I had. And even after raising prices, they were still selling. So I made a huge profit on those. Then it really slowed down once I forget what caused it, but illustration rares started tanking, and I think trainer gallery cards started tanking as well not earlier this year, but a few months ago. But then recently, within the past probably month, trainer gallery cards are going up again. And since I have so much inventory, I am able to do really well and make a lot of profit because I didn't just dump all my inventory when it was low or just try to get a quick 5 to 10% profit. I had these cards listed at double market price because I know that in enough time, people will be paying that much for the cards. So I don't care to list it for market or 10% below market because I know that if I just keep it listed, it'll sell eventually. And I'm not in a rush to sell. So it's why I do it. If and by selling, it just means I have more work. It means I need to go get more inventory and I need to go relist the cards. So I'm not in a rush to sell because one, I don't need the money right away. Two, I know it will go up in price over time. And three is that it'll lead to more work, and potentially me being out of stock would require me to just go in and try to get more inventory. And I know I'm constantly doing that, but there's a difference between doing it when you want to versus doing it because you have to. And if you can set yourself up so that you're always getting more inventory and then never running out of specific products that sell really well, it becomes a lot more peaceful and less stressful. And part of the reason why it works for me, but it might not work for everyone else, is that because I have a second income or main income, is why I don't need to sell the cards. And I know if you're doing this business because it's a second source of income, it'll help you with all of your bills and all that, then yes, it makes sense to want to get constant sales and not want to hold off on selling things because you need the cash to pay for your life, all of your expenses. And that is a very valid thing, but it's also why I don't recommend starting this business as a way for it to be your main source of income because there's just a lot it's having it be your main source of income, and then also why I'm against using credit because these two stressors will make you shift your mindset for this business, and it'll hurt you because you have to constantly sell things and you can't hold on to something because you need to sell it to pay for your credit card or you need to pay for your living expenses. And there's just so many things that could go wrong. And if you have to sell off your inventory to account for that, it can be a very, very dangerous scenario because, for example, let's just say the trainer gallery cards again. Let's say I needed to pay off $5,000 in whatever expenses came up, or I have to pay off my credit card $5,000. The first thing I would have to do would be to sell inventory. And I can't be like, oh, I want full market for this card because I need to sell it right away. I can't afford to have it not sell or sell. So then I would have to go and fire sell it, maybe 20% off market, sell to somebody like me at 70% market. And then, sure, I get the money for everything and I could pay off the debt, but then I have no inventory. And then also, with them going up in price a few months later, I would be very upset about that because I know that I didn't get the margin that I wanted to. And then on top of that, it went up in price. So it's like you need to put yourself, and this is a lot easier said than done, but you need to set yourself up so that you will never need to fire sale any items. And I know I'm talking more on the business model that I do, but it's just because I'm so in favor of it and it works so well for me. And I know a lot of other bigger sellers, it works very well for them too. And a lot of what I just talked about in the last 5 minutes don't really apply to if you're in it for the quick flips, because actually they still kind of do, because usually the people that are in it for the quick flips are leveraging credit card debt and they do all this weird hacks to get more capital to buy inventory and then flip it. And it's just the stress, or at least for me, the stress that would come from that is not worth it. I can be stressed out about having a bunch of work to do or work all day and whatever, but being stressed about having to sell stuff in order to pay off debt that's going to accrue 30% interest is, it's just too much for me. And that's why I strongly don't advise it. Now, if you're able to take that risk and it won't affect you, which is, I don't know how many people that would apply to, but if you can, go for it. Sure. I don't advise it, but who's going to stop you? And then, even then, if you're going to take a risk like that, my advice would be to do something that's going to make you huge returns, not something where you're out spending all of your time every day to go buy a collection and then flip it for 5% margin. I don't understand it, and I don't advise for anyone to do that, because you can have 11 good months in the year and then 1 month you get screwed and you lose all of your profit, if not more, because of the interest that occurs. And it's a very risky business to be in that whole thing. But let me know what you guys think, what type of business model you guys are running, and if there's another one that I missed. I feel like these are the main two that people go for, but if there's another one that I missed, comment down below and I might make a follow-up video on this. Curious to see what you guys think, and I will see you all in the next video.